Alright, I'm pretending this is all nice and clean now. Our teeth are done, which actually they are. So now we want to go in and narrow up our handle. Here's the way to do that. Okay, take yourself a tri-square. Make sure that the 0 lines exactly up on the handle. Some of them don't. I've got one spray painted yellow on my desk that does not. Okay, the tri-squares measure in 1/8 of an inch, so we want to come in 1/8 of an inch and split the next 1/8, so it would be a 1/16. So if you figured that out in your head, that would actually be 3/16 of an inch in. Okay, flip your tri-square over. Come in 3/16 of an inch. Okay, let's go up here to where you're rounded down to where your flat hits your round. T-square tight. Draw your square line. Let's do the same exact thing on the other end. Draw your line. So you have your square line on your top with your marks for your side and down by your handle. Now some people always wonder how Mr. Reinwald gets such straight lines freehanding it. Well, he's not exactly freehanding it. He's using a trick he has learned. Puts his finger against the edge, puts the pencil out right at the mark, then he holds that tight. So that finger is acting like a guide going up and down the edge to hold it just in the right spot. Alright, so I'm going to reset, set that right there. Alright, there's one. I don't adjust my finger, but I come back and double check to make sure that side is the same. And do the other side. Okay. That's a little bit fat and fuzzy of a line. I don't really like that one. I'm going to erase it and do another one. Alright, let's try that again. This time I'm going to bring my pencil a little further up instead of laying it down so flat. Okay, make sure it's right on. My fingernail is right on that edge. Okay, that's a little better. I gotta reset and there, that's a little better. Alright, so you have your lines drawn. Now look at them. Take a good eyeball on them. If they don't look even, symmetrical, they're not. Okay, so if they aren't, fix it now because it'll do nothing but get worse down the road. Alright, so I'm going to take a nickel. You could use a quarter, dime, penny, whatever you have in your pocket. And we're going to put it on right on this point and where it touches the line up there. So the pencil just barely touches there and comes right even onto the line on a tangent. Okay, right like that. Same thing down here. Oop. Alright, when you go to cut this out with the bandsaw, don't try to cut in and make that curve. You're not going to, and most of the kids kind of mess things up when they do. Do a relief cut right there, come down to your other end, do a relief cut, then diagonal your saw down in, go down to the relief cut, then you can come back and trim back to it. Then just nibble these curves. That's the best approach to go. This is real touchy. It's real easy to get these to where they are not looking even. So make sure you stay outside your lines at all times. I forgot to mention too in the deal that before you cut this out and mark it out and everything, it's a good idea to sand. You've gotten it all filed clean, which this one really isn't, but it's all clean now. Sand with the grain. I like to take my finger. Sometimes you might use a block of wood as a sanding block and go up and down with the grain, not necessarily across, with the grain, and really clean and smooth that up. The top of the handle and the bottom, this outsides obviously you're going to cut off, so you would only want to really concentrate on the inside, then do all your marking out. But before you mark it out, go ahead and make sure you get this down here all good and clean. Now in these teeth here, now on your teeth, when you go to clean those, it's not a bad idea to take one of these files that is not very sharp anymore, that's basically seen better days, and real carefully and with not very much pressure at all, kind of go over your teeth to get out any file marks from your aggressive files. That's an easy way to clean up your teeth, and it also might, you can check and see if it does a decent job of cleaning down in your curve. You can take your sandpaper. This sandpaper is pretty sad shape, but you can go across the grain. This, right in a situation like this, it is probably the best to go across the grain. This sandpaper is just seen better days too, but you would really clean this up. But obviously this would need to be filed before I ever even touched that with sandpaper. A thing to look out for when these are cut, your sides are cut, and you're in here sanding. I've watched several kids that have ended up breaking their piece because they are aggressively sanding on it, and they end up breaking it because they get a little bit too aggressive. Don't do that. One more thing. This is a back scratcher, but you don't want sharp edges. So when you get everything shaped in, everything clean, you want to make sure to lightly round the edges so they still are sharp, but they are lightly rounded where they are not going to scratch.